What's up, guys? It's your girl Phoenix Novell, and welcome back to my Musicians on Gigs series. This video today is about my deportation story. I've been performing and traveling abroad for over a decade now, and I absolutely enjoy this whole journey. It's been amazing, and I'm really excited about so many upcoming projects because I'm actually able to explore a lot of my original music. For so long I've been a cover band singer. For so long I've been working, as an independent contractor for many different hotels and joining bands left and right and DJing, but I never really had a lot of time to dedicate to my original music. And now that time has happened. In 2020, I'm so excited. So let's just get to it. Last year was like one of the best years of my life and one of the most trying times of my life. I won't say the worst because, I learned a lot of lessons, but it wasn't like, oh my God, so devastating. I just wasn't prepared for a lot of things I should have been prepared for. This is why I talk about the importance of saving money. I talk about the importance of having a source of strength. In my latest book, The Traveling Singer Survival Guide, I mention a source of strength specifically because when you, like if you're a gigaholic like me, where you work so much that you really don't have much of a life outside of your job, sometimes you can get really depressed, or sometimes you can get really insecure, or something can hit you hard, which kind of like makes you run to a family member or to a loved one. And if you didn't really have a close relationship with them, or you didn't stay in contact with them a lot, it's kind of hard or awkward when you try to make that reconnection, So it's like if you have that person, then little by little when things happen, not only when things are bad, but when things are good, the connection is always there. You never want to have a situation where you're so far away from everybody who loves you unconditionally and and just real, that that when you encounter something that just hurts to throw you off your game, you gotta oh God, should I call? Can I call? Are they gonna be mad at me for not calling? You don't want to have that kind of conversation and have to deal with that. So having a source of strength is really important. I did not maintain good relationships for a long time when I was abroad. I'm a caring person. I have people in my life that I know love me and that I love, but sometimes I can zone out, and sometimes I can be so dedicated and focused on what I'm doing that I forget about maintaining bonds, So anyway, this particular situation was a situation that I was very, very much in need of financial assistance as well as just emotional support. I had been gigging in Thailand for a minute, and then I wasn't working anymore. My gig stopped or whatever. I had money saved. I was good for a few months. And I already had it mapped out what I wanted to do after I stopped working. I going back to the States for me is like something I don't really want to do until I have X amount of money saved so that I don't have to work again for anybody else when I go back home. Like, that's what I've always envisioned in my mind. But so I was still going to be staying in Thailand, still going to be overseas. Maybe I would leave Thailand every now and again, do a gig. But I kind of make Thailand my home base because of how comfortable I feel here, how it just feels like my second home. It just does. Some people say that about Europe, who from the States. Some people say that about Philippines. Everybody has that place that they weren't born, that they feel like, I could really see myself being here for a long time. Thailand is that place for me. And I've lived in many areas of Thailand, but I've kind of found my legs here in Bangkok. So anyway, after a couple months off of work and not really bringing any money in, I did not properly manage my money, which has been an issue for me for a while. But this time, I had no money coming in, which usually was my excuse for blowing through my cash, was that money was always coming in, so I really never had to keep an eye on it because it was always coming in. This time, money was not coming in. And I had enough to hold me over, to be I had more than enough to even for a second be in a situation where I couldn't take care of myself. But I don't know what happened. I think sometimes I work so much that I don't really get a chance to enjoy my money. Even though I buy stuff, I don't really get a chance to feel like, oh, okay, I can go to the studio, or I could, use this money to do something creative with my time, because I'm always working. So I don't really consider, even though it might sound weird because I'm still buying stuff for myself, but I don't really often consider stuff in terms of like material possessions to be my reward for all the work that I do. I consider my reward to be time, that I can do whatever I want to do. Sometimes that's just laying in the bed. And so I think once I stopped working, I was working 2 jobs at one point last year. And I think once I stopped working and I actually felt like I had my time to myself and money saved, it felt like break time. And instead of me actually taking advantage of just break time and like, just laying in the bed, chilling, I mean, I have this thing about organic fruits and vegetables, so I'm always buying some organic berries or blackberries and stuff. So a lot of my money does go to stores like Whole Foods or Villa Markets. In Bangkok, Thailand, they have Villa Market, which is pretty much the Whole Foods of Thailand. So anyway, I spent my money on food and everything, but I think the bulk of my money went to I got a studio for myself, an artist studio where I didn't want to make music in the same place that I slept. And I also wanted to have a place where I could actually have piano lessons or take my guitar lessons and stuff that wasn't my living quarters. So it was going to that, also it was going to food, and also I started furnishing both places, my apartment and the studio I had. So again, no money was coming in. Like I had DJ gigs every now and again, but nothing really was happening that was like to the point of being like consistent cash. And so Thailand has a thing now where it's like, you can't come in and go out continuously. Like if they see you come in and go out so much through the airport, it's like eventually somebody's going to be like, what are you doing here? Especially if you don't have a work permit or a visa. And I'm from the States, so I get a 30-day visa on arrival. And I've been doing this for a while, but usually I'll have gigs in other countries. So I would come back here for a minute and then go out again and be gone for months. But my last contract was actually in Thailand, so I was already here. And then when my visa expired, I was going out, coming back to do different DJ gigs in other cities or other countries. And eventually, because I kept taking flights out, eventually somebody was like, at immigration, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And I mean, people have asked me that before, but I've never been that kind of person who didn't have good luck when it came to like border control, But it wasn't my year. Last year, it was not my year to rely on lady luck. And so at this time, I was just pressing my luck. I didn't have much funds left, and I was waiting for news about certain jobs that just wasn't coming through. And I know I had to make a visa run. I knew I had to make I had to leave out and come back in because my stay was getting down to the very last days on my passport stamp. So this particular time, I didn't have enough money. I didn't have much money in my pocket. I had just paid my rent, had probably like 5,000 baht on me, which is a little over 100 USD. Yes, to my name, real talk. And again, I've always kind of been the kind of person where I could find a job. I can get this. I get one gig that pays $1,000 just to do DJ. And just, so money was always coming in. And my overhead now is very low. But last year, like I said, I had my studio and my apartment. So I just didn't realize the situation that I was in until I was in it. But there's this thing where Thailand has a policy like a single person is supposed to have at least 15,000 baht, 10 or 15,000 baht to show just in case they're asked, so that they can prove that they can support themselves financially while they're here visiting. And I think a family is supposed to have 20,000 baht. So that's between $300 and $700-800. I didn't have that. So I couldn't, not only were they suspicious of the fact that I kept going in and coming out without a actual work or a business visa, but I also could not show them 10,000 baht minimum to prove that I could financially support myself. Now, again, my rent was already paid, so I knew that I could find jobs here. I've always been able to find jobs here, singing jobs or DJing or just random stuff. But I was at the airport, immigration, and it was like they needed to see proof that I wasn't going to be working here illegally and that I wasn't just like trying to live here without actually having a permanent living here, like visa for living here. And so I just got the wrong immigration officer. I went to the wrong airport and I went on the wrong day. They did not let me back inside this country. So there's a policy with the airlines that if you get denied entry into the country, once you get off a flight, you don't have to pay to fly back to where you just came from. So I did my visa run to Singapore. And so I had to get back on the same airline that brought me from Singapore to leave out of Thailand. So they have deals, the airlines have deals. Well, I was really grateful because I had, again, 4,000 or 5,000 baht on my person. And luckily I had my laptop with me because I was in the middle of writing my 4th book, Miss International. And so luckily I took that with me because that's all I had with me for the next 3 months that I was out of Thailand. Yes. But I didn't have any clothes with me. I didn't have anything. It was just supposed to be a couple hours visa run and back, as I've done many times before, but it wasn't my day.